just go straight from on air soon to count me in and then just go live. You can take the intro out. Got that? All right, guys, we'll rock and roll shortly. Today's a busy day, man. Today's a really busy day. There's a lot of news on today's show. So sit back and learn. So Hanover County Public Schools are going to be the first public school system with no gender bathrooms. We'll talk about that today on the I Love CVille show. How would you feel about the public school system in your jurisdiction rolling out no gender bathrooms? We'll talk about that today. Millennials are not moving away from the areas they grew up. I would bet you that has something to do with cost. Millennials choosing to live at home post-college and as they get older because they know the market and perhaps are even living at home with their parents because the escalating cost of rent and home ownership. We'll give you those statistics. Stone Brewing Company, a California-based craft brewer that has very much a strong foothold in the Richmond market, was just sold to a Japanese beer conglomerate for $168 million. That story on today's show. We'll talk about the Mega Millions jackpot that's now at $790 million to the winner. Grocery store sales in Richmond are booming. That's to be expected. People are staying home now as opposed to going out because of the cost of cost to eat. And the NFL has launched a streaming service. Guys, we are locked and loaded with so much freaking content today that, Mondays are always a busy day in news. Today's a very busy day in news. We'll talk about it all on the I Love CVille show, myself and Judah Wickower. Judah, I can rock when you're ready, buddy. Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's good to be with you on a Monday afternoon. We have a Charlottesville, Central Virginia, Commonwealth, country, and worldwide audience at our disposal. This show airs live on every single social media platform known to mankind. In fact, on Facebook, it's currently airing on 15 Facebook pages, on Twitter, 15 Twitter accounts, Instagram, 3 Instagram accounts. So it's truly a dynamic program with an audience, you, the viewer and listener, that can shape the pace and tempo of the discussion. A lot we're going to cover on today's show, including Hanover County Public Schools, introducing gender-neutral bathrooms. This topic will soon resonate in Central Virginia. I would bet in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County first, Judah. How do you mom and dads, how do you sons and daughters, how do you teachers, coaches, and administrators feel about gender-neutral bathrooms and Hanover County Public Schools? And when does this soon become a reality in Central Virginia? That's a topic I'm going to discuss today on the show. Can you look at my Facebook page? I'm not seeing the show over there. Are you streaming it to my personal page? Because it needs to be on there, please, sir. Thank you. And give me a thumbs up when that's done. Judah Wickower is our director. Also, I Love CVille. Are you streaming to that page? Are you looking at the channels?
Yeah, they say they're going.
Okay, because I'm not seeing those on there. We'll give Skooma Boutique Dispensary some props. Proud partner of today's show. Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville, is located on the downtown mall and on Ellwood Avenue. My personal Facebook page, please. Immediate attention. I Love CVille Facebook page. Immediate attention, please. Judah Wickower. A lot we're going to cover. I'll give you the rundown of topics. Millennials aren't moving far from home. We'll give you the statistics, but this generation that's undoubtedly, strapped with student loan debt, a generation, millennials, undoubtedly coming out into the housing market, rental and for purchase, at clips and levels that are as expensive as they've ever been in American history, certainly with rising interest rates. Millennials are choosing to stay close to home. One study found that by age 26, more than 2/3 of young adults in the United States lived in the same area they grew up. 80% of millennials had moved less than 100 miles away from the area they grew up. 90% of millennials reside within 500 miles of where they grew up. Migration distances were even shorter for Black and Hispanic individuals compared to white and Asian young adults. The children of higher income parents traveled further away from their hometowns than those of less wealthy parents. We'll take a deep dive into this study that I found absolutely fascinating from the United States Census Bureau. We'll also talk Stone Brewing Company selling to a Japanese beer conglomerate for $168 million. We'll talk about the top grocery store sales, which groceries in Richmond are posting the top sales numbers. I'll give you a hint. Grocery store sales are up. People are spending more time now than ever before. Even the pandemic. Are you looking at the I Love CVille Facebook page? Because it's not streaming there.
I'm restarting it right now.
Okay, please. That's the flagship page of the show. Grocery store sales are higher than they were during COVID. So COVID kept people home because of a fear of a virus. You know what's keeping people home at a greater clip than a fear of a virus? Inflation, pocketbooks, money. James Carville said, the political strategist, this election's about the economy, stupid. Well, midterms around the corner, the top item that voters will be voting upon is money and inflation. You can count that. So that topic on today's show, we'll also talk the $790 million jackpot for the Mega Millions. The tax exposure, if you win the $790 million Mega Millions jackpot, is astronomical. We'll give you the exact dollar amount in about 15 minutes on today's show, and we'll also discuss the NFL launching a streaming service. Yes, the National Football League is now in the streaming business, where if you want to watch all your football games, you're going to pay $4.99 a month to do so. Judah Wickhauer is going to go to the Two Shot. Do you have the I Love CVille Facebook page up?
I'm working on it.
All right, how much longer is that going to take?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, this is the flagship page of the show.
This has never happened, Jerry.
All right, so it's a little infuriating considering the prep I put into this show. Let's go to millennials first. The U.S. Census Bureau released a study, and it's pretty much showcasing the millennials are staying at home, man. 80% of millennials had moved less than 100 miles of where they grew up. 80%. Folks, it's so expensive to buy a home, to rent a house, that people are choosing to stay where they grew up, often either living at home or in an advantageous setting where a friend, a family, or a neighbor is renting them something. I want you to think about the cause and effect of millennials, a generation undoubtedly strapped with student loan debt, and how that's impacting their sociological and anthropological movements and tendencies. I'm an old millennial, considered a geriatric millennial. I live within 135 or 140 miles of where I grew up. My brother, also a millennial, younger than me, he lives in California, in Los Angeles, completely across the country for where we grew up. Judah's the generation before the millennial. He grew up in California and in Maine. He lives in Central Virginia. This inflation, recessionary, high cost, high dollar, strapped with student loan debt time that we're in is legitimately impacting people's migration patterns and where they're choosing to call home. I found that absolutely fascinating. Now that's advantageous for the millennials that grew up in a market like, say, Charlottesville or Central Virginia. You choose to stay in Charlottesville or Central Virginia, you have tremendous opportunity because of job growth, because of job opportunity, and because of the insulated nature of this market. What if you grew up, though, in southwestern Virginia? What if you grew up in western North Carolina? What if you grew up in these rural parts of the country where that economic insulation or protection is not prevalent or reality? You're not as lucky. This inflationary time, this ridiculous overhead, this post-pandemic world we're living within is going to have generations of impact that we don't even know of yet. The generation with the most buying power, the generation now with the most influence is the millennial generation because of the robust nature, the amount of people in this generation. It's massive. If inflation and this post-pandemic world, this obscene student debt world we're in, is forcing the most influential generation of people to very much consider where they live and work and play, then we haven't seen the true collateral damage of this post-pandemic inflationary time. And guess what? The marginalized community, according to this study, those that don't have financial resources and those that happen to be people of color, they're traveling even less than wealthy whites and wealthy Asians in the millennial generation. Are we going to, 10, 15 years from now, have these pockets of poverty across the country associated where people grew up and the fact that they can't leave their home, and then other pockets of wealth? Has that always been the case? Is that what Charlottesville is? A pocket of wealth birthed from the University of Virginia? What are your thoughts, your topics, your concerns? Do you have the I Love CVille Facebook page up? All right, just scrap the effort. You're 15 minutes into the show. Let's go to the two shots, scrap the effort. It's frustrating, especially the time that I put into this. Go to the two shot, scrap the effort. Bill McKenzie, the birthday boy, born in the Shenandoah Valley, 2 years in Northern Virginia, 2 years in Lynchburg, and mostly a civilian since '63, 2 years in Central Florida. You moved. Now, I'm not sure you're the perfect example because you moved in an area to where your parents live.
Yeah.
But certainly moved from Maine and California to Central Virginia. Now, granted, you're not a millennial.
And Savannah.
And Savannah. But you're not a millennial.
Right.
Carol Thorpe, hello and welcome to the show. What do you make of that survey?
I think it's just changing times. Different people have different focuses. And
Banner. Go ahead.
different people have different ideas about what they want to do with their lives. I think younger generations now they're just not into traveling as much.
I don't know if I buy that. Let's go to the one shot, please, and then if you could slide that banner behind you. Thank you. I know it's a Monday. It's feeling like a Monday around these parts. I think the millennial wants to travel more than ever because of the experiences that come with travel and the cost of living associated with home ownership. I just think the millennial is unable to do so because of the student loan debt that they're carrying on their personal balance sheets. I was having this conversation either on Thursday or Friday. I forget who it was with. And the conversation was in reference to Dave Ramsey, the financial wizard. Dave Ramsey is quick to throw zings and digs at young people. And he'll highlight young people spending on lattes and exotic coffees. And Dave Ramsey will highlight young people's choice to buy luxury goods and to travel versus saving. And Dave Ramsey's quick to say that's why this younger generation, the millennials, especially the younger ones, the Gen Zers, are in the financial position they're in. What Ramsey's missing is the Gen Zers and the young millennials are the ones that came out with the most debt. And when old millennials, middle-aged millennials, and young millennials were matriculating through middle school and high school, we were almost brainwashed by our parents that it's graduate high school, four-year school, no matter what. That's how you achieve, and that's how you climb the professional totem pole. Now you're starting to see middle schoolers and high schoolers coming out of public and private school settings, and they're being educated on taking a role as a plumber, as an electrician, going into the trades, going into a 2-year college like Piedmont, and then after 2 years at Piedmont, then spending the final 2 years at a school like the University of Virginia. Pursuing an entrepreneurial path. With the advent and the ubiquitous nature of the World Wide Web, the opportunity to start businesses, heck, one of our businesses, this podcasting network, is 100% strictly tied to the internet. The I Love CVille network, a 6-figure business, was birthed on the World Wide Web. We created an idea and we executed it, and it's done online, and I could legitimately do this, run this online business anywhere in the world as long as I had a strong internet signal and fiber internet. How many other millennials or Gen Zers can come up with a concept that's strictly tied to the internet where overhead is next to nothing? You're an expert craftsman with wood, sell it online. You want to do an Etsy store, sell it online. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, who I admire, is a big proponent of retail arbitrage, where you're going to places like Walmart, Target, and Marshalls, finding SKUs, retail items, that are marked below their retail price, and buying that retail outlet out of that particular product, and then utilizing retail arbitrage to sell the product online at scale on the internet. You have no overhead. Your work translates into essentially pure profit. Let's go to comments. Paul McCarter, one of the biggest benefits of being in the military is seeing different parts of the country. As much as I love CVille and raising my kids here, I do wish they got exposure around the country more than visiting. Travel is something, Carol Thorpe, I'll get to you. Neil Williamson, I'll get to your comments as well. Airline tickets are through the roof. My parents are visiting my brother in California later this month. They're choosing to drive their Subaru from Western North Carolina to Los Angeles in a cross-country trip. The opportunity cost is their time and the wear and tear of their vehicle, their Subaru. But as my dad and my mom put it, Jerry, opportunity cost of our time, we're retired. And we're driving to see and feel experiences in small towns that we love to explore. There's no opportunity costs with our time. Wear and tear in the vehicle, yes. But is the wear and tear of a cross-country trip to a Subaru going to be more than the $6,000, $7,000 in airline tickets round trip? Probably not. Right? Neil Williamson's the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Millennials are the largest living generation. You may not believe this, but there are 72.1 million millennials in the United States. They have an annual purchasing power of $200 billion. I mean, not that surprising because millennials are tech savvy, so it makes so much sense if they are digital shoppers as well. Not only that, but millennials are also the largest generation in the U.S. labor force. That's why they hold a massive purchasing power and why more brands are leading on marketing towards the millennial demographic. And his source is Debeautify.com. That link in the I Love CVille Facebook group that has recently surpassed 3,000 followers, 3,100 to be exact. Carol Thorpe adds this comment. She's the queen of Jack Jewett. My family is native to New York, and my 3 brothers, 2 older and 1 younger, and I are boomers. My oldest brother still lives in New York, but the others live in Florida and Las Vegas, while I live in Virginia. I have lived in 5 states alone in my life. I can see the economic advantages now for millennials to stay close to home for more community college and in-state university tuition, and staying close to mom and dad for help with child rearing when the time comes, but they'll miss a lot of joy and independence. Great comment, Carol Thorpe. I mean, she said it better than I could. You stay close to home. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are living still at home in multi-generational households. You stay close at home, you get the benefit of mom and dad when you have kids looking after your child or your children. Childcare is astronomically expensive. Astronomically expensive right now. And the likelihood of finding a childcare provider is more difficult than it's ever been because of the pandemic. Is this inflationary post-pandemic period of our lives going to put tailwinds or further reinforce these pockets of wealthy communities and these pockets of poverty communities? Because that's what this U.S. Census Bureau study is alluding to. Pockets of poverty growing in numbers because people can't afford to move away. Pockets of wealth growing in numbers because people are choosing to stay and expand the wealthy community with their ideas and their professional pursuits. That's great news for Central Virginia. That's not great news for Southwestern Virginia. Your take. Put the comments in the comment section. We'll relay them live on air. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the cost of inflation for quite a while, and I mean it affects everything. And it's not just current inflation. It's not the 9 point whatever that we're seeing right now. It's the fact that we've been dealing with inflation for decades, and everything is getting more expensive. And so if you want to say that, kids are deciding to save money, not move far away, I mean, it's affected everything.
What do you think the long-term impact of that is?
The long-term impact, I mean, we were just talking Friday about Americans leaving America.
Yeah.
When your money goes a lot further somewhere else, I mean, you really do have to plan something like that. You can't just, I mean, either you're going to go over there and try to find a job.
I mean, if you're going to Europe, you're there for long term. No one's going to go across the pond, and we talked about this on Friday. Spain, seeing more influx of people, Americans, than ever before. Europe in general, more influx of Americans than ever before. The dollar is super strong. The euro, not so much. It's extremely expensive to live in America. Many countries in Europe are selling buildings that local jurisdictions have acquired or taken over because they're in terrible shape, and they're allowing you to buy these houses, these structures for $1 if you're committed to rehabilitating the structure, the building, the homes in the countries.
I've even heard that in some countries they're basically giving away houses on the outskirts of towns.
Giving away houses. But I want you to realize this. As Americans sprint across the pond to Europe, what are they sprinting to? Yeah, you can get a house for free. You're then going to have to spend hundreds of thousands tens of thousands rehabilitating it.
Which you would have spent anyways buying the house.
But what are you going to do for work once you're there?
That's why I was saying that it requires some planning. Some people may go over there thinking that they can get a job, and some of them may have, some of them may be able to work from home and not have a problem with that. Other people are just going there to retire.
I'm going to be straightforward here, and I appreciate that take from Judah, and he's right. But this work from home mentality, the millennial and younger who's chomping at the bit to maintain this work from home mentality or this work from home life, you guys are losing leverage every single damn day. Microsoft has slowed hiring. Facebook is slowing hiring. The financials, the firms, the banks, they're slowing hiring. Can someone think of a company now in this inflationary period that is saying, you know what, a recession might be on the horizon, I'm going to hire more people, forget about it, let me bring more bodies on, more human capital? No, they're cutting capital from their companies, human capital. Who's going to get cut first? The dude who shows up to work twice a week? Or the dude who comes to work 5 days a week, is there before his or her boss arrives, and is working when his or her boss leaves? The person who's a name on a Zoom call is expendable. The person who has a business card and a name plaque on their desk and is grinding 60 hours a week in person at the firm, and the boss sees them before they get to work and they're still grinding when they leave work, that person's going to be kept and held and cherished and championed. You disagree, or you with me on that?
I think that's a fair simplification of what all is going on.
So you're with me. Does that mean yes?
No, it means that you're taking a very simplified view of the whole thing, and yes, you're probably right in some cases, but I don't think that covers the entirety of the business market.
If you were a boss and you had an employee working from home that you basically only saw through a computer screen, and you also had another employee who worked in the office in the hallway down from you.
What if you got rid of your offices because it was dead weight?
I don't see offices going away anytime soon.
Okay.
I mean, Jamie Dimon, the most powerful financial CEO in the world of JP Morgan, said, get back to work and get back to work fast if you want to keep your job. When the hiring market cools down like it is right now, the people that are going to get looked over, or the ones that are expendable, are the ones don't come to work. How do you have a relationship with somebody through a computer screen when compared to the relationship that someone has with their boss in person through lunch, happy hour, and being in the trenches with them in person? This is just common sense.
Some businesses will take that tack, others won't.
I mean, it seems like common sense to me. I think we're in like, I'm a sports guy. I'm going to do a baseball analogy here. We're in the early innings of this post-pandemic baseball game, like second or third inning. All this crap, Jay Powell raising rates, housing market insanely expensive and out of control, rents at the highest they've been in American history, Microsoft, Facebook, tech companies, financial firms slowing hiring, bear market for the stock market, recession. All this is collateral damage from COVID. You gave everybody a bunch of money. You're surprised there's inflation now? Hell no, you're not surprised. Are you surprised? No. I'm not surprised.
No, but it's more than just the pandemic.
What else is it?
I mean, this has been building for years. Yes, the pandemic may have...
the pandemic exasperated it, magnified
exacerbated, yeah.
Took it to a completely different level. It took it, dude.
When the Fed started buying mortgage-backed securities instead of getting rid of them, I mean, there's so much going on that blaming it all on the pandemic is just, I don't believe it's correct. Yes, the pandemic did exacerbate things, but all of this was, I mean, we were on track heading for this disaster for longer than just the last 2 years.
I don't buy that.
You don't buy that?
I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
Okay.
I don't buy that. You get PPP money galore and stimulus money galore. You get money just for having a kid. You get money to stay home. You get money not to go to work. You prioritize Walmarts and Lowe's and Targets, and you deprioritize the Martin Hardwares and the Ace Hardwares and the Reed's Grocery. You watch as everyone and their mother takes the free money from the government and pumps it into the stock market. Who did that? Tons of people did that.
Yeah.
Pumped it into the stock market. Oh, here's money from the government. Let me put it into stocks. You create froth in the markets. You cause the housing market to go insanely out of control. When housing went insanely out of control, rents followed. The rents followed. And you're left with this. You're left with the market we're in now. You want to hear something crazy? And this is a statistic that's going to come up later in the show. Richmond, Virginia. Who would have thought this? The grocery prices in Richmond, Virginia, grocery sales, this year versus last year, actually expanded this year.
Yeah, because of inflation.
I mean, I would think it's because of inflation, the cost of goods is more expensive than ever, and because restaurants are more expensive than ever. You go to a restaurant, you buy a steak, it's going to cost you close to $50. You can get the same steak in the grocery store for what? $24, $25? You're left with this decision. Do I go out to eat and after tip, taxes, pomp, and circumstance, I'm paying 3 to 4 times what it would cost me to make the same thing at my house? And I don't have to drive to the grocery store to burn gas, drive to the restaurant to burn gas. I'm staying at my crib, at my house. How many people are making that decision? How many of you guys watching the show are literally doing this? It's date night. My family's visiting from out of town. I got to take my special sweetheart out. Maybe I want to take my bambino for a nice little lunch or dinner. But instead of doing it, you're going to the grocery store and you're buying what you would have at the restaurant and eating it at home. Because you're making mental calculations. Well, if I go to the restaurant, I'm going to have to drive and burn some gas. I know their prices are higher than ever. Then we're tipping on top of it. Albemarle County's got like 10, 11% taxes on meals. So you got the 20% for the tip, the 11, 12% on the taxes, plus driving to and from the restaurant in your car, burning gas, and you know the menu prices are higher than ever. How many people are you just saying, I'll just buy the steak and eat it at home, and get the asparagus and eat it at home, and have all the pomp and circumstance at my dining room table? I bet you a hell of a lot of people are saying that. You disagree?
No, I'm sure you're right.
Now, to your point, the grocery store sales have the benefit of higher cost of goods. Bacon's more expensive than ever. Chips, milk, beer. So when the prices are higher, of course, gross sales are going to be higher year over year. That's a fair point by you.
I mean, I just scanned the article very quickly before the paywall blocked me, but it seems like the article was saying that that sales had gone up despite declining sales. Their overall their margin has gone up because of the rise of prices due to inflation.
Their gross sales have gone up. Their margin hasn't grown up. Margin is profit.
Exactly.
Gross sales have gone up. Profit margin has not gone up, it's decreased. They're selling more groceries. Their profits are dropping because margins have shrunk, in part because of the escalating nature of fuel, labor, supply chain issues. So their sales have gone up, their margin has shrunk. They're working harder for less money. That's what's happening. Just who else isn't working harder for less money? How many realtors, raise your hand in the air, are working harder right now for less money? Probably a lot. Probably a lot. That's probably the case for just about every industry out there. Working harder for less money. The market will only absorb certain levels of price increases before the market is turned off by the increase in price and says no. Right?
I mean, at some point,
say an advertising agency like VMV Brands that may do a $195 an hour, $195 an hour rate. That rate can only go up so much to accommodate the fact that everything tied to this company is more expensive than it was last year. Every single thing associated with VMV Brands and I Love CVille is more expensive this year than last year. Not a single thing is less. I can't say a single thing on my profit and loss statement that has dropped this year versus last year. Not one line item on my P&L is lower this year than last year. But if I said to my customers, I'm going to raise my hourly rate from $195, a 5% increase on $195, I call it a 10% increase on $195 times 0.1. You're talking $20. You can do that, but can you do 50%? Can you do 25%? Eventually the customer is going to say no and give you friction and you lose them. So you as the owner of the company have to determine what that sweet spot is, and you can't exceed it, because how you grow a business is keeping existing clients happy while bringing new clients into the mix. And we've proven we can do that for 15 straight years. I would bet you that there were more people in grocery stores this time last year than right now. This time last year was 14 months into the pandemic. Pandemic hit March 2020. This time last year would be July 2020. That is, what is that? 15, 16 months. This time last year, we were still very uncertain about COVID. We have much more COVID confidence now. There's a variant that's out right now that's as contagious as any variant of COVID has ever been. And they don't have a specific vaccination for this variant yet. But people are still going out and they're still traveling, because we've had 2 years of fatigue, or 2 years of education, or 2 years of knowledge, or 2 years of experience on COVID, however you want to look at it. So people are like, it's COVID. Let's keep living. This time last year, that was not nearly the case of confidence. There are, take the Stone Brewing story. Did you read the Stone Brewing story?
No.
Stone Brewing Company sold to a Japanese conglomerate, Sapporo, Sapporo.
Yeah.
That's a Japanese beer. You get that all the time. You know what I know that beer from? What are those things called where you put the beer in the shot on the chopsticks, you bang the table, they fall into the beer, and you chug it?
You want me to look it up?
What's that called? I'm drawing a blank. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on that. What's that called? You put the shots on the chopsticks, you bang the table, and the shot falls into the beer, and you pound the beer. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Let's see.
What the hell is that called? That's how I know the Sapporo beer.
Sake bomb.
Sake bombs. Thank you. Good God. Sake bomb. That's how I know Sapporo. Did you know this Japanese conglomerate just purchased Stone Brewing Company? Japanese brewing conglomerate Sapporo Holdings announced this past Friday that Sapporo USA acquired California-based Stone Brewing Company for $168 million. Stone Brewing Company, from a craft beer standpoint, was the 9th largest independent craft brewery in the U.S. 9th largest. Now a Japanese company owns an American brand, Stone Brewing Company, that is undoubtedly known for phenomenal beer. $168 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a company the size of Stone, and you're considering potential layoffs, or your margins as tight as it's ever been, or you're struggling because gasoline is through the roof and much of your brand is associated with beer distribution, getting your beer all over the United States, of course you would entertain an offer from the Japanese that's a 9-figure offer. This got me thinking, which Charlottesville or Central Virginia-based beer brand is best suited for a massive purchase like this? We know Devil's Backbone's owned by the Anheuser-Busch. They've already sold out. That was an 8-figure deal. I've heard anywhere from 50 to 75 million for Devil's Backbone when Anheuser-Busch purchased DB. Which Central Virginia beer brand is best suited for a purchase or for an exit? You have one?
Central Virginia brand? I mean, besides Devil's Backbone, maybe.
Well, Devil's Backbone's already exited. Anheuser-Busch owns them.
I know that. I'm saying besides them,
I say
maybe,
3 Notch.
3 Notch is good, but
3 Notch has got the goods, man. 3 Notch has done the pop, the proof of performance.
But can you really see them like selling out to something like that?
I think anything is for sale.
Okay.
Kelly Jackson, you're watching the program. You taught me this. Anything's for sale. She's got a dope pad on the south side of Charlottesville. But if someone offered Kelly Jackson and Adam a price for their dope pad, she'd say, peace, I'm out. Would you not, KJ? Would you not say, peace, I'm out, if someone offered you the number?
I'm not sure what that has to do with
anything's for sale.
3-notched.
That's my point. Anything is for sale. Anything and everything is for sale if the number is right. The reason I say they're the best set up for an exit is because they're going to have the headquarters. They bought Wild Wolf Brewing Company. We're the first to let everybody know that. They'll have the headquarters on 150 Fun, just like Devil's Backbone has a headquarters on 150 Fun. They have locations in Harrisonburg and Richmond, in Roanoke, and in Virginia Beach, along with their initial headquarters in Ix Park. So they've shown proof of performance.
You're talking about Anheuser-Busch?
Talking 3 Notched.
Okay.
3 Notched. Anheuser-Busch is a global company. Of course not Anheuser-Busch. They're global. 3 Notch is Mid-Atlantic, Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
They've shown the proof of performance. Roanoke Tap Room, Harrisonburg, Virginia Beach, Richmond, successful one in Charlottesville. They're going to have the massive headquarters finished later this year at the old Wild Wolf location. They do their own distribution. They've proven they can capably run a restaurant and a tap room, make the beer, distro the beer, and build the brand. Merchandise sales proves it as well. Look at their social media. They're, in my opinion, best set up for an exit in Central Virginia. Devil's Backbone's already exited. 3 Notch is best set up for an exit.
All right.
Who do you take? Who do you got to say?
Sounds good to me.
Danny O'Day says Bold Rock. You know what? Danny, do me a favor, if you could, Danny O'Day. Danny O'Day is going to join us on the show on Wednesday. Has Bold Rock already Can you do some reconnaissance here on the internet? And Judah, you do as well. Bold Rock Cider. Did they already sell at one time? I want someone to look at that. I don't have the answer to that. Has Bold Rock already had one exit or sale? Because I'm quite confident a Charlotte, North Carolina firm purchased Bold Rock.
Yeah, Bold
If
Rock
memory
sold-
serves correct, and my
sold
memory's
to
pretty damn good.
Tisnell Brewing Ventures
All right, so it's already sold.
out of North Carolina.
Okay, so I was right. Memory and asset. Thank you. Bold Rock's already sold. So that's off the list. Star Hill, Kevin Yancey's got potential. Star Hill's got potential. I believe that corn capshaw money is in the Star Hill brand. That corn capshaw money's in that Star Hill brand. I'm sticking with Three Notch as the one that's most primed for an exit. 8-figure exit. I'll give you this question. Who knows beer? I know beer very well. What beer tastes better? Three Notch's beer portfolio or Devil's Backbone's beer portfolio?
Depends what you're after.
They all have the same. They all have Gozas, they all have IPAs, they all have porters, they're all doing some kind of liquor-infused canned drink. They all have some kind of NA beer. It's a copycat culture craft beer. They're all doing the exact same damn thing. Three Notch bought Wild Wolf to duplicate the base camp that was Devil's Backbone. What's the new Three Notch base camp going to have? Live music, a distillery for liquor, hiking and running trails, places to stay, a big venue for eating and rehearsals and events. It's a copycat culture craft beer. Heck, business is a copycat culture. Business is a copycat culture. Bold Rock already sold to Charlotte-based company. Now, we haven't even gotten into the topic that I think is going to be the most impactful. Hanover County Public Schools. Did you read that? I'm very curious of your take. Gender-neutral bathrooms in Hanover County. I'm going to read it to you verbatim. Do you know where Hanover County is, Judah?
No, I don't.
Not far from us. Hanover County is what? 20 minutes from Richmond? Do a quick Google map search Hanover to Charlottesville, Virginia, and tell us how far we are for each other. I'll put the over-under on 60 minutes, and I'll put the over-under on 90 minutes and take the under on 90 minutes. Hanover to Charlottesville. Give me a quick little Google map check. Ladies and gentlemen, this news broke late last week. Hanover County Public Schools will be the first division in the Commonwealth to build a school with no gendered bathrooms. Designers presented final renderings of the new John M. Gandy Elementary at a Hanover County School Board meeting late last week. Both the Richmond Times-Dispatch and NBC 12 Richmond are covering this story. How far away? Less than 90 minutes?
I'm checking. Let's see.
What would you call as the most progressive pockets of ideology in the Commonwealth? Charlottesville's got to be up there. Charlottesville, we know, is very liberal, very progressive. If a school system less than 90 minutes away from Charlottesville's is creating an elementary school with no gendered bathrooms, when will that come to Central Virginia and to Charlottesville, and to Albemarle County? Sooner than later, right? How do
68 minutes.
How long?
68 minutes.
68 minutes, so under 90. How long until we start seeing gender-neutral bathrooms or no gender bathrooms in Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville? What is your take, mom and dads, on gender-neutral bathrooms in Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville? What is your take on this, Judah?
I mean, as far as elementary schools go, I'm not really worried about kids. And reading through this really quickly, it sounds like they have things covered. I mean, it looks like the bathrooms are all completely separated from each other. It's not like they're going to have urinals, mixed in with bathroom stalls. And they've got the sinks outside, so kids aren't going to be like, there's not really any place to hang around. Besides which, it's elementary school.
It's the first step.
Okay.
You don't just do a gender-neutral bathroom at an elementary school. It's the first step. I'll take it to a different level. What is your take on gender-neutral bathrooms at the high school level in public schools?
I think I'd have to see how they were implementing it.
The same way. It will be the same way.
Problem?
I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm asking for your take.
You sound like there is a problem, but anyways.
I don't see why you would say I have a problem with this. I'm just relaying the news to people. I haven't even given my opinion yet.
Okay, well, we'll wait for that.
What is your opinion? This is a talk show.
I know, and you seem very angry about this.
I'm not angry about this. I'm literally asking you, what is your take on gender-neutral bathrooms? And you haven't said anything.
I did say something, and you jumped on me.
Okay. What is your take on gender-neutral bathrooms at the high school level, Judah?
If it's similar to this system, I don't really see a problem with it. You're talking about individual bathroom stalls, and that's it. I mean, I don't really have a problem with this. It's one thing when you're talking about like in a movie theater where you might have like some 50-year-old nut coming in on like some kids going in the bathroom all alone.
That was a follow-up question for me. Gender-neutral bathroom at the high school level versus gender-neutral bathroom in a restaurant setting or a movie theater or sporting event setting. How does that change things?
I mean, really, I'm not sure it changes things a whole lot. As long as you've got the individual stalls, it's especially at like a game setting.
I mean, because we do know that topics like this undoubtedly determine the governor's race for Youngkin versus McAuliffe.
Okay.
Youngkin ran on empowering parents with education. Critical race theory came up. Transgender education came up during Youngkin's campaign, right? McAuliffe's campaign. Americans, this past November, this was a topic of priority for them. So, 7 months ago, people cared about this. 8 months ago, this was an issue. Now you're saying it's not.
I never said it wasn't an issue.
Well, you said you didn't see it causing any friction.
No, I'm talking my personal reaction to this. I'm not talking about how other people are going to react.
Okay, how do you think Central Virginia will respond to this?
The way they usually do is a bunch of people are going to freak out. A bunch of other people are going to call them the first people that are freaking out. Whatever they're going to call them, probably something to do with Republican slanders, and we're going to have arguments about this for the next however many months until somebody makes a decision, and then eventually that person will get voted out of office, and we'll make some.
You heard it here first. Gender-neutral bathrooms will be the next topic of divisiveness in public schools in Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. Heard it here first on the I Love CVille show. You think critical race theory was a topic of divisiveness in Charlottesville and Albemarle County? You think transgender discussion was a topic of divisiveness in Albemarle, in the city of Charlottesville? You think internet offerings or a topic of divisiveness in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, this topic will go to a different level. And this past Friday, Hanover is going to be, just announced last week, the first public school system in the Commonwealth to roll this out. Paul MacArthur is a father of 2 daughters. If gender neutral, Paul MacArthur says, means everyone gets their privacy, it's a non-issue and it helps eliminate a lot of issues. If gender neutral means mixing everyone together where people feel uncomfortable or in danger, then that's a serious problem for me.
I agree.
Here's the next question I have for you. We saw during COVID a tremendous migration from public schools to private schools. Private schools were learning like it was business as usual. Public schools during COVID were trying to figure out their identity. Private schools in Central Virginia have waiting lists. Have you tried to enroll in a private school in Central Virginia? Good luck with that. Get on a waiting list. You'll get in that private school in a couple years, legitimately. Will gender-neutral bathrooms drive tailwinds behind even more people choosing to enroll in a private school setting versus a public school setting? I'm asking you genuinely that question. And we all realize that public school funding is associated with enrollment. So as public schools lose students, the enrollment for that public school, the funding for that public school drops. This is going to be a hot topic in this community. You mark that down. We'll get to all comments here in a matter of moments. There's a lot of comments on my personal Facebook page specifically. Before we do, I got one other item I got to get out of the notebook, and we got a 2 o'clock shoot. The comments, I'm going to read comments in about 2 minutes. I got 2 items I want to get out of my notebook first. The Mega Millions lottery jackpot is $790 million. Most people choose the cash option instead of the yearly payout. The cash option on a $790 million jackpot is $464,400,000. That's a hell of a lot of money. However, of that $464 million, your tax exposure, 24% of federal tax withholding, is $111.4 million. So you take the all-cash option, after paying the upfront tax payment, you're down to $353. Still, I could live on $353 million. Could you?
Definitely.
I could live on $353 million.
Easily.
Easily. We're being sarcastic and facetious.
No, we're not being sarcastic. I could easily live on that much money.
No, I know. You could have easily lived on $3.5 million.
$5 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's the sarcasm. I was taken aback by the tax exposure. You walk with a lump sum payment. You win the jackpot of $790 million. Your lump sum payout is $464, but you owe Uncle Sam $111. And then, because the top federal marginal tax rate is 37%, which applies to income above $539,900 for a single taxpayer, or $647,000 for a married couple, you're going to expect to owe more taxes over time. So this $790 million payment is not nearly what you're coming close to winning.
Right.
And then the last topic I want to bring to you before I rattle off the comments that have come in, the National Football League has launched a new streaming service. This new streaming service costs $4.99 per month. So now the NFL has got a streaming platform. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry has their own streaming platform, including yours truly, the I Love CVille Network. $4.99 gives you access to out-of-market games in the National Football League, and it allows you to watch football games on your mobile phone.
I'm sure that'll be humongous
Dude,
for sports fans.
I think I'm going to pay the $4.99 a month for football season, because you just cancel it after football season. I would pay the $4.99 a month. That's a very good price.
Yeah.
My question is, does this $4.99 a month NFL offering, what's it going to cannibalize? because there's only so much money to go around. Does this $4.99 a month offering start to erode membership from Netflix and Prime and HBO Max and Peacock and ESPN and Disney? Do you need the ESPN streaming service when you got the NFL in the fall?
Doubtful.
Eventually, one of these platforms are going to just start cannibalizing each other and eating each other up. You're going to be left with a streaming environment, a streaming economy, where one or two big brands will have a bunch of other little brands underneath them. And you can pay the $29.95 a month to the New York Times company or to the Amazon company or to the Netflix company, and then they will give you access to silos of content as part of that monthly payment.
Will that be a good thing?
I think competition is best for the country, not one or two companies having all the market share.
Yeah.
One or two companies having all the market share, and you're left with a Amazon, Walmart, Target environment.
Yeah.
That's bad news bears.
Yeah.
All right, comments we're going to get to. And then we'll get out of here. We'll drive separate to this photo video shoot, but I'll drive you to the vehicle so we can make up some time. Kevin Yancey's watching in Waynesboro. Corin Capshaw just purchased land on the James River in Richmond for a 7,500-seat amphitheater in the Riverwalk Canal District. I saw that, Kevin Yancey, on Richmond BizSense. RichmondBizSense.com is a fantastic website. Kevin Yancey, you're a well-read man. Kevin Higgins says, I think Kegler's was the first brewery here. The first brewery here was actually South Street Brewing Company, and it just narrowly beat Star Hill Brewing Company. In fact, I'll read from the South Street website. Let me see if I can go to the About page of the South Street website. Their website has changed. South Street's the oldest brewery in Charlottesville. Star Hill, a very close second. Star Hill. Months of difference between those two, South Street and Star Hill. How did Restaurant Week do? It ended yesterday. Bill McKenzie, that is a great call. It was probably the least anticipated Restaurant Week of any that I've ever experienced. A lot of people don't know this. VMV Brands, this advertising agency, we sold the Restaurant Week moniker to the Seville Weekly in a 5-figure deal. Charlottesville Restaurant Week, we sold that brand and that moniker to Bill Chapman and Blair Kelly, the owners of Seville Weekly, in a 5-figure deal. This was done 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Danny O'Day, try opening the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, or The Economist today without seeing a C-suite executive at a Fortune 500 company bragging about how high their profit margins are since they raised prices. Off the top of my head, I've seen Johnson & Johnson, Verizon, Coca-Cola executive interviews in the last few months. If everything is increasing, it's hard to say that people reject any specific price increase. It just becomes part of the general inflation. And I'd say it goes overlooked in these conversations about inflation. Well said, Danny O'Day. That was a damn good comment. Danny O'Day on the show on Wednesday. Dude, we talked about this last week. These are just going to be the prices. These are just going to be the prices. The Fed is going to get inflation in check. It's going to cool inflation. And these are just going to be the prices. They're not going to come back down. A B2B firm that charged $195 an hour, raised their hourly rate to $225 an hour, is then not going to drop it back to $195 an hour 12 months from now. The $225 an hour is going to be the rate. Kevin Higgins says, I think Silverback is the next sale to a big liquor company. The owner has connections from his time in Congress. The gin is good, and I bet it's impacting profits from existing brands. My sense is folks are looking past liquor. I think that's the next explosion here. Three Notch launching a liquor brand, a distillery at the old Wild Wolf spot, which backs up Kevin's point. The brands just need to diversify their portfolio. Beer sales are cooling. So having cider and beer and seltzer and liquor hedges risk and creates a brand portfolio of diversity, which is good for business. Oh, I know Kegler's. I still stand by South Street as being the oldest brewery in Charlottesville. I know Kegler's is there, but I still stand by South Street as the oldest brewery in Charlottesville. And I still think you can call Kevin Higgins, like you said, I think you can call Kegler's a brewery because they make beer there. They make beer there. But I'm going to stand by Kegler, by South Street as the oldest one in Charlottesville. We can look that up. I'll see if I could do some digging, reconnaissance off air about that. All right, that's the Monday edition. Carol Thorpe says gender-neutral bathrooms should be the least controversial of things we're talking about.
Agreed.
You got a lockable door, each room that can be used by another gender at one time. There shouldn't be a problem. The problem comes in with a large open room accessible to many people with multiple stalls.
Agreed.
It's a good comment right there. Will there be gender-neutral locker rooms?
No, because you're talking, I mean...
Gender-neutral showers?
Come on. Now you're
Will there be
speaking-
gender-neutral sports teams?
I
Will there be
doubt
a
it.
gender-neutral sports team?
I doubt
And if
it.
there's a gender-neutral sports team, will there be gender-neutral locker rooms and showers?
No.
The swimmer from the University of Pennsylvania, female swimmer, at one time was a guy, and is now an NCAA champion.
Okay.
Fair questions. Legitimate questions.
Yeah, but it's a very different question as well.
It's a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Does gender-neutral bathroom birth gender-neutral other amenities?
I mean, if
I am one of these things.
if they want to,
I'm a parent.
spend an excessive amount of money sectioning off every single changing area for locker rooms and every single shower area for.
Neil Williams says private showers could be a thing. Many colleges and gyms have them now.
Yeah.
Is that the next, from gender-neutral bathroom, do we go to gender-neutral showers?
It would certainly save space.
How much is that going to cost taxpayers? What is that going to do to public school enrollment? What will that do to private school enrollment? How will parents look at gender-neutral bathrooms, gender-neutral locker rooms, and gender-neutral showers with their son or daughter going to school?
I think it depends on implementation.
Will that adjust where their son or daughter goes to school? These are fair questions. Legitimate, fair questions that I'm sure your parents are asking. My wife and I would ask. Fair questions that no one can take out of context. Kevin Higgins says, Jesus Christ, I'm making a 2 p.m. martini. This is insane. King of Greenwood. All right, that's the show. It's a Monday. We'll be better tomorrow, I promise. For Judah, I'm Jerry. This is the I Love CVille show presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary. We're powered by the Clifton. One of the best kept dining and drinking secrets in Charlottesville is a 5-star hotel right over the city line. It's called the Clifton. Their happy hour is dynamite. Their food is banging. It is perfect for date night, an evening with friends. And get ready for the summer concert series that we're going to announce and release at the Clifton. I'll give you a tip. It's going to be kicked off with Coda and Marie of Chamomile and Whiskey. It's going to be freaking awesome. For Judah, I'm Jerry. It's the I Love CVille show. So long, everybody.